Hi, I'm Trevor Conquergood. Welcome to this week's RNK Software Club video of the week, and the topic for this week is going to be all about how to create an arrangement using the arrangement tools, and that's right here, this tool group that I just kind of pulled down from my toolbar to show you. These are the arrangement tools, and we'll also talk about these tools over here, the align and distribute tools. And so these are tool groups that can be very helpful when you're doing what we call a layout. So I'll go ahead and put those toolbars back where they were on my main toolbar, and go ahead and click on the custom shape library just to put some kind of a piece of artwork on my screen to get started. Now, so first of all, these are the arrangement tools, and there's Fling, so Fling repeat, repeat design, corners repeat, templates, and circle template. And so all of these tools are a lot of fun. We'll start with the first one. It's Fling Repeat. And when I click on it, we only got 2 birds. And the reason where there's only 2, where you might have expected, a whole swarm of birds, is because 2 things, really. The size of the template, which is, as you can see, just about a 7.87 inch sort of square. And if I just cancel this, the size of the original design. And so it says it's 3.3 inches tall by 2.9 inches wide. And so essentially in an 8-inch square, how many 3-inch birds can you kind of fling down is what it's saying. And so you can click on the tool and click apply. You can also change the design proportions. And so when it does the fling repeating, it'll have a minimum and a maximum scale. So starting from kind of our 3-inch size, it's allowed to go down 80%. Well, if I allow it to go down further in size, that's going to make the ability for maybe a few more birds to show up, or at least more size discrepancy between the two. If I made the template bigger, if you're thinking, well, I've got a 10-inch hoop, and so I'll do my 10 by 14 hoop, and then of course that makes more room for birds to be flung down. And so every time you click apply, you get a different kind of result. If you cancel and reduce the size of the original bird, so instead of a 3-inch bird, if you try, like about 1.5 inch bird, and you go back to your template, now even in the 8-inch template, there's room for more birds. And like I said, if you make your minimum and maximum scales bigger and smaller, that's going to give you, or bigger, different kinds of results. You're able to affect the results. And the other one is the spacing in between. Now, there's also auto rotate. So if you didn't want the birds to be auto rotated, you can turn that off. And the color sort. So this option comes up in a lot of our template functions. Color sort is going to, if this was a bird that had 2 colors, and so it was like color 1 and color 2 for each bird, and so it was going to have to make a design that went color 1, color 2, and then color 1, color 2, and color 1 and color 2, therefore a lot of color stops. Using color sort allows the software to make all of color 1 for each bird, and then all of color 2 for each bird. And so if you didn't want that to happen and you really wanted it to have lots of color stops, then you would uncheck this. But that's how the Fling tool works. And when you say OK, it does your layout for you. At this point, if you click off, you still have the ability to select any of the birds, just ungroup all of the ones that are in the layout, and then you can edit them and make some of them, bigger, smaller, rotate as you kind of feel would make it appropriate. And if you felt like you just wish there was one more in a certain spot, go ahead and make copies and, complete your layout. So that's the idea with the Fling repeat. Now, maybe let's just hit undo a couple times and kind of go back to one bird and look at the next tool. So select the item that you want to arrange and then click on the tool. So this one's called Repeat Design. It's going to put your element of your design in rows and columns. I find this one really helpful when I'm trying to do, maybe lace designs and I want to make several earrings in one hooping, then I can do them in rows and columns like this. You can increase the spacing between the elements, and so if I put in there even just 0.2 of an inch and click apply, you'll see that I've added more space along the horizon. If I wanted to add more space on the vertical, I can just type it in here, click apply, and that will give me more space on the 0.04, so it's such a small amount you really hardly notice it. 0.4, that would be almost half an inch, then you can see it. Options, so again, the distance between the centers, auto resequence by color. These are things that you can check in here, and then it will adjust based upon, instead of the, so now it's sort of the way that it measures the distance and the spacing. So if you do between the centers, or if it does between the outer edges, auto resequence by color. And so again, if the design had more than one color, that would be helpful. You can offset every other design by a certain percentage. You can offset every other row by a certain percentage. You can flip every other design. And you can flip every other design vertically and horizontally. And so lots of kind of arrangement for rows and columns is what this tool will do. And then the next tool is one that I use a lot for creating kind of borders and frames. It's like a corner repeat. And so it takes your bird and it mirror images it to fill all four corners. You have the ability to increase the spacing both horizontally and vertically, as well as rotate the angles of the birds. And so this can be kind of interesting when you take different designs and you move them around. There may be just the perfect angle to create a cool, name, plate or frame or border element. And so and of course, the auto resequence by color option is still available. The next one is called templates. And when you use templates, now you're able to choose from a series of different kind of cool lines, and then the software will put birds along whichever template it is that you have selected. And so, again, you have the ability to set the width or the size of your template, sort of the overall size of it, and then offset the designs and the size or the scale of the designs. And so offset would mean kind of move them just to the inside or to the outside of that template line. And so anyways, you guys, that's called templates. And the final one is called circle template. And in the circle template, it takes your element, your design, and repeats it around a circle. And this one can be a lot of fun because, first of all, you have the ability to add the number of times that the bird or the element will copy around the circle. Things that you're going to want to use to get kind of good success with this. Sometimes you want to adjust the size of the circle. And so I've got 8 birds, in a 4-inch circle. But if I made this a 6-inch circle, then I could, that would give a lot more space and we could have even more birds in our arrangement. You might want to adjust the angle of the birds themselves down here at the bottom. You just rotate that and you can get them to be kind of in any different kind of configuration that you want to. This is the design property, so the actual scale of the designs themselves. And so in other words, if I keep my 6-inch square and I know I want 14 birds, then I might want to make those birds bigger or smaller within that number and size of arrangement to kind of fill them out. And so, you also have the ability to change the angle of the sort of that it goes around your circle like this and offset that angle a little bit as well, so that where will the kind of beginning and ending of your circle be. And so this is quite an interactive tool, and when you're done, you simply click OK and it creates your arrangement. So all of those are very fun. I also said I would quickly explain how to use the alignment and the distribution tools. Now notice they're currently gray, same as these ones. Anytime a tool is gray or dim, it means that you need to first do something before you can use it. And so if I select this tool, I can now use all of the arrangement tools, and I can use the alignment tool. However, the distribution tool still stayed dimmed out. Why is that? Well, because you need more than one thing selected to be able to distribute. And so if you had 2 birds and they were, maybe you had 3 birds and you wanted to, first of all, align them. So click on Align. And now you've got, so first of all, select more than one of them to align those 3 shapes. Now when I click on Align, I can align them along a left-hand line, a right-hand line, a top line, a bottom line, a center line vertically or horizontally, or center them to the rulers. So that would be like center in your hoop. And this one is centered to each other. So if I choose center to each other, it's going to put all 3 birds exactly on top of each other and kind of look like one bird. So I'll undo. But there's times where maybe you've got 3 squares that are different sizes and you want to center them all to the same spot. In this case, what you might want to do is align them all along the top. Wouldn't make sense to align them to the left because it would move them all to left. Now notice, okay, let me move this one up and this one down. So if I say align left, it will keep this one up and down and just align them to the left. Undo. So obviously we've got the opposite in align to the right, align to the top and the bottom, as you would expect. So aligning top or bottom would, in considering they're all the same size bird, would make them kind of the same thing, I guess, in this case. If one of those birds, let's hit undo, was different size than the other ones, then it would kind of affect it, because if you select all 3 and choose align to the top, it'll align all 3 of them along the top edge, and therefore this one is longer on the bottom edge. And now I can choose align to the bottom edge, and they'll all move down and align along the bottom. So aligning is one thing. So, you can also align them sort of along the horizon that way. I often use this to center everything to the rulers, and so that will look at your rulers and say, where is the 0 and the 0, because it considers that the center of the frame. That will always be the center of the hoop. When you turn on an embroidery hoop, it's on the rulers, 0 and 0. And so if your elements are not centered in your hoop, all you have to do is use the alignment tool for center to rulers. And that will center the elements inside of your embroidery hoop. So now we have the distribute tools, and because we have 3 birds selected, the distribute tools also come out. And so now what we're talking about is distribute with this left, distribute horizontally, distribute. So there's space horizontally, place equal space between all of the objects horizontally. You could have equal space vertically, or you could distribute them left, space them evenly from the left edges. So if I do this, it will evenly space them from their left edges. If I choose centers, it will distribute them evenly from their centers, and it'll distribute them evenly from their right sides. And so evenly meaning based upon the right edge and the overall box space, there's an equal distance between each one. So the ones that I like to use the most are distribute horizontally and vertically. And so if I use distribute horizontally, it will put an equal amount of space between each of those birds. And I often use that. So quite often it's a combination thereof, right? You've been making, you've got 3. Maybe birds like this isn't the best of examples of it, but maybe it's something where you're doing words and letters and you have separated them all, and you want each letter to have kind of an even space between them. Well, then you can select all of those letters, and first of all tell them all to be along the same baseline, and then tell them to have equal space sort of horizontally like that. And so anyway, I hope today's video was interesting, just a review of some of the kind of everyday tools as far as I'm concerned, the arrangement tools and the align and distribute tools. Until next week, have a great day. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.